And it looks like we're live. Welcome back. This is day 20. That's my 20th day of, non-consecutive day of trying to make a roguelike in Rust using the Roguelike toolkit, using specs, ECS, and using Rust. So let's switch over to my screen here. And this is where we left off last time. I just added in the code to be able to cast Magic Missile from a scroll. So these are not like scroll books where you learn and memorize the spell and then you have access to the spell. You actually have to have a copy of the scroll book on you. And the scroll on you, and then you use the scroll, quote unquote, use to cast a spell. And in this instance, what we're talking about is an item. Sorry, let me scroll up to the item where we spawn it. That's the targeting code. Random item, here we go. Ranged and inflicts damage. So it's not so much as using a magic, spending a magic cost, but having an item that has a range. So it enables the range targeting system, and the item inflicts a certain amount of damage. And the range is always fixed and the damage is always fixed. So we have a range of 6 and a damage of 8. And if I just spawn, I'll restart the game here. Oh, let me make it a little smaller so it fits in my screen. And let's see, I didn't get any. What is this? This one is it is a Magic Missile scroll. Okay. So now I can go find an enemy to cast it at. I can say use. I get this blue range. So this is 6 to 6. And then I have an orc here. I click on the orc. I use the Magic Missile scroll on the orc, inflicting 8 hit points of damage. And that's where this line comes from. Or where this line shows up. Sorry. Item name, mob name, damage. We have to work on our variable naming. But that's right. So this is where we are. Then I also modified the code a little bit so that this starting room will actually have a bunch of items in it so that we can play around. We don't have to go hunting for them in order to test them out. It's just test code, I guess, for being extra testy. It would be nice to have like automated tests for this, but that will come later when I actually write my own. At least that's the objective, is I'm going to eventually write my own, and I will be doing it with TDD from the ground up. So now we're going to introduce area of effect. We'll add another scroll type, fireball. It's an old favorite and it introduces area of effect. We'll start by adding a component to indicate our intent. Okay, let us do that. So we're going to start by modifying the components by adding an area of effect obstruct. Right? And give it a radius. And then we have to register it in main. Don't forget about that. I'm pausing because I messed up. Source main. Source main this way. Okay. Area of effect. Okay. And then we're going to extend the random item function to offer it as an option. Okay. Source lib spawner. And where's random item? I could search for it, but there we go. So we're going to go to 3. And we're going to make a fireball. Right? And then we're going to create a function which creates a fireball. So let's just copy the Magic Missile and then change this to fireball. It's still going to be close paren. We're going to have this here say fireball. Oh, and it's a different color, orange. Cyan for magic missile and orange for fireball. All right, so it's an item, it's consumable, it's range of 6, it's got a damage of 8, and it's got an area of effect of 3. Area of effect of 3. In our use item system, or I think they mean item use system, right? Item use. Yes, item use system. We'll build a new section to figure out a list of targets for an effect. Okay. So the targeting just loops over all of the entities that are, that's the area effect. If there is no area effect on the item for the target, then we're going to just do a single of wherever the mouse was clicked. Right? Otherwise, we'll do this code here. Okay, so we should already have this for the magic missile. Right? That's where this comes into play. Let IDX there, and then for, oh, but we put the name. So where is this going? We call this a target point here. So we're just changing the whole thing. Okay, and then it looks like we're going to modify the code to be generic. So the healing code is also going to do this. There's no, this just pushes the target. So this adds targets to a vector. It doesn't actually do the work. Ah, okay, so here's the item infliction, damage inflicting code, which is the suffer damage, new damage. We get the name, we print it out, and then we have this use item thing, which I'm not sure about yet, because I think it's still, didn't we ignore that last time? Yeah, it showed up out of the blue, and I'm not sure exactly what's going on. So okay, so let's start by just adding this code in here to get a list of targets based on the item that we used. So let's do that. Let me targets, back entity. We're going to target entities, new, and then we're going to match on use item target. All right, so we're going to say if, instead of doing a match none sum, which is painful to read, I think, we're going to say use item target is none. Then we're going to do this first bit, targets push player entity, else it's a sum. So we're going to say if let sum area effect. Do we use the, we don't use item target. This just says target X and target Y. Where does that come from? Use item target, targets push. Oh, come from some target. Okay, yeah, so I just went a step ahead here. So if, okay, let's reverse this. That might be easier. If let some target equals this, oops, then this, else will just push the player identity. So now we have the target. Now we say if let some area effect AOE get use item item. Then we're in here, right? Let mute blast tiles RLTK field of view of the target area effect radius and a reference to the map. Right, that's our blast tiles, and then for each tile in the blast tiles, we're going to determine the index, because we're not getting an index, we're getting a tile XY. Let IDX equals map XY IDX of tile XY X and tile XY Y. Be nice to be able to just pass in the point directly, right? For mob, what did I do? I did this. Don't need to do that. For mob in map.tile content idx.iter targets push mob. Okay, so that's that. If we don't have an area effect, then we will just add just the tile we targeted. So let IDX equals map XY IDX target X target Y, and then push for each mob in map tile content IDX iter targets.push mob. Got some code duplication here. You probably can clean up by setting IDX here, right? Oh, then we have to do an array. Yeah, because this is a double 4 and a single 4. Okay, I'm not going to worry about cleaning that up. Okay, so this generates a list of targets based on whether or not the item that we're using has an area effect. At the end of this, the target is either going to be the player or a single mob, or sorry, a list of mobs that are at a single location, or a list of mobs that are within a radius of the area effect. So that's what's going to go into targets. So then we're going to go here and modify the way the healing works. We'll still do some healer is equal to healing get, but now we're going to loop over all of the entities in that target list. Right? Let stats equal combat stats get mute target. So now, instead of getting the stats this way, what are we getting stats? Here. Right? We're going to pull it out of here on a case-by-case basis. All right. So I think that means we remove it from here. Right? We're just looping over the entities and the items. And if we hit an entity, then we're going to get its stats. So we're going to say for target in targets iter. Right? Let stats combat stats get mutable target. And then we're going to set the that's when I hit F1 that pops up. Okay, let's see. I think what I want to do is if let sum stats is equal to that, then set the stats there, and then if the entity we're dealing with is a player entity, right, then we do that. That's a player entity, that's if let, and there is that. So that should clean this up, right? So if the item that we're using is a healer, because we found it in the healing list. Then we're going to loop over all the targets we generated up here. And we're going to see it, we're going to grab the stats. If there's no stats for the item, then we're going to ignore it, right? If there are stats, then we will set the stats to what we calculated previously, stats HP plus healing amount up to a max. And if it's a player entity, then we'll just add that to the game log. All right. So then we do the same thing for item damage. Same exact code, except we're creating suffer damages instead of increasing combat stats. So for target, oh, wait a minute. This does not loop over. Oh yeah, here, for mob in target's iter. And there's used item again, which I'm going to again ignore until we figure out what it's meant for. So we've got the damage. We're going to say for mob this time in target's iter. And we're going to add the suffer damage here, right? Suffer damage, mob, damage. And then here's the player entity. So we don't need any of this code here, right? Entity is a player entity, grab the mob name, get the item name, do the game log, and we're out. And then if it's consumed, so I guess we could come through here and then say, well, you know what? We didn't find any targets for the thing. Let's not even consume the item because we didn't use it. And maybe that's what the used item is meant for. That makes sense, right? Because if you click somewhere outside the range, you can't basically canceling the. So here's a magic missile scroll. If I say use this and I click over here, right, I don't want it to consume the item. See, it's still in there. But I think with this, it's going to consume the item. Maybe? Let's find out. Let's test it and see. All right, is that all we need to do? Okay, yeah. If you cargo run the project now, you can use magic missile scrolls, fireball scrolls, and health potions. Okay. If it builds. Let's see if it builds. Let's see what I blew up. Oh, that's not too bad. So I just need to add area of effect. And, I need to add area of effect to my list of data, my huge list of data. All right, so let's edit these guys and this guy. So for the spawner, we just need to add area of effect. And for this guy, we just need to, I've already forgotten. Oh, AOE, right? AOE, right? So we need to add that to here. And it's just a read storage item. I don't know where to put it. I want to keep the map at the end. Let's just put it here. Area of effect. And so we add it here. AOE. Right? Let's see if that builds. It does not, because why? Oh, because I put damage there. And I got to add area of effect to my inventory system. Okay. Source lib inventory system. Oh, same edit. Okay. And then in spawner, we need to change damage to radius. In an inventory system, we need to add area effect. Okay. So instead of damage here, it is radius. And here we just need to add area of effect. Oh, we still need to grab a suffer damage from somewhere, right? Mute suffer damage. And that I didn't, what did I change here? Because it's still there, right? Mutable suffer damage, right? And there it is there. What's the complaint? Unknown field for radius. Oh, I must have lined something up wrong. Here, right? Right, entity, game log, entities, wants to use item, names, provides healing, combat stats, consumables, inflicts damage, area of effect, oops, then suffer damage. Okay, that makes more sense. And we don't need a mutable on blast tiles. That's something that's in here. Oh, yeah. Oh, because I missed this line completely. Look at that. We're only retaining blast tiles that are on the map. Okay, that makes sense too. Right? Blast tiles. Blast tiles to retain for each P. Right? P.x is greater than 0 and P.x is less than map width minus 1 and P.y is greater than 0 and P.y is less than map height minus 1. Right? I wonder if I can just add that to the return or field of view. It doesn't have to be a separate. Well, let's get this to build. Right? Okay, that built. Let me see if we can remove that. Well, that's still build. Oh, because there's a semicolon there. Hang on. Like that. Method not found in unit type. Oh, because I'm assigning. Okay. I guess you can't do it that way. So put that back. Blast tiles. Gets that. Okay. Now this builds. And now we should be able to get confusion. Fireball scrolls. Let's refresh. Ah, there's some fireball scrolls. I pick up the fireball scroll. Let's find a monster to cast it at. Ooh, I'm in the blast radius of that, aren't I? Oh, that's okay. No, I can go right here. All right. So let's use that. We'll target this guy. Boom. So use the fireball scroll on the goblin inflicting 8 HP. But it'd be interesting to see if I can get... Actually, can I target... If I target this spot here... Okay. So I did take 8 HP of damage, right? But the health potion, the fireball scroll, and the magic missile scroll are all in the blast radius. Right, so they all got damaged, although these guys didn't have a stat component, so nothing happened to them. I had a stat component, so something happened to me. That's interesting. I wonder if we adjust that later. Oh, right, the other thing I wanted to test was this use item. If I can click outside, do I still use it? So let me grab this. Let's use it. I'll use it all the way over here, so I'm outside the radius, right? I clicked there, and it's gone from my inventory. So I cast it. That counts. Now, let me see if let's refresh. Grab this guy, go up to the top here. If I click outside its radius, does it cancel it and retain the item? It does. So far we don't need used item. All right, let's see if Clippy is happy with this. Let's see where our changes are. We added the area of effect, right? We now generate a list of targets based on what kind of thing we're using. So the item use system now is kind of generic in the fact that we can have things without an area of effect, like single items. We can have things with an area of effect, which can have a variable radius based on the area of effect. Or we could just say there's no target at all, and therefore let's just use the player. Let's make sure that works. Let us grab a health potion. Right, and see if we can heal up. We'll use B. You drink the health potion, healing 8 HP, and it's gone. It's gone. Okay, so that works. This is the heal code we refactored to use the list of targets, and then this is we got this down from 3 lines of code to 1 because we've generated all the targets up above. The spawner code changed so that we can generate fireball scrolls. And there's the new fireball scroll, and of course then we added it to main. Okay. So added fireball scrolls. Very nice. What's next? Confusion scrolls. Let's add another item, confusion scrolls. These will target a single entity at range and make them confused for a few turns, during which time they will do nothing. Okay, so this is going to affect the monster AI system instead of just being general for the item use system, right? So here's where we create a confusion scroll. We're going to add a confusion effect. Yeah, so here's where we add the component. Okay, so let's do the component first. Pub struct confusion pub turns I32 and register it in main. Confusion. Okay, we're going to add to our spawner a confusion scroll. So it's got a position, it's got a renderable, and this one's going to be pink. Okay, we're going to call it confusion scroll. It's going to be an item, it's going to be consumable, it's going to have a range, and it's not going to inflict damage, and it's not going to have an area of effect, but it will have the confusion effect for 4 turns. Okay, and we'll add it to our item choices. So I bump this up to 4. This becomes 3. This is confusion. At some point we're going to get to, item tables, right, where we can generate different random loot based on the level we're at and whether or not it's a fancy chest or whatever. All right. So then in the item use system, we're going to add confusion to a mob. Add confusion. That must be something new. Oh yeah, down here. No? Oh, add confusion is, as a new vec. Okay. So over here, item use system, which is getting very big. So we did some healer, we did some damage, and then we're going to say okay. So we're just going to yeah, I'm going to flip this around because this is saying, this is creating a new vector for confusion. It's checking to see if the item has confusion. The entity has a confusion component. Got to say it right. And then if it's none, don't do anything, and then come down here and go through loop of nothing. So I'm going to be doing some premature optimization only to make the code more consistent. I'm going to follow the same pattern here. So I'm going to say if let sum causes confusion equals confused get use item item. Oh. And in order to do that, right, this confused is a brand new thing that we need to add to our lists. Read storage ticket confusion. And we're going to, this time we're going to put it in the right spot. We're going to say confuse like that. Right? So now we have this one and we have this one. And if it is, used item is false. But now I'm confused. Why are we saying use item to false here and then not changing it to say we used it? Yeah, so this whole used item thing, I think it must have been part of a refactor that was done. So I'm going to again ignore it. Let's see. So we know it causes, if let sum causes confusion. Oh, let's just say confusion like this, because I think we're down here, right? I'll say for mob in targets iter. Why do it in 2 steps? Because we're getting this and then confusion turns. We can just do it right here. Right? Can't we just do this? Confuse.insert. Oh, we can't do a confused insert because it's not mutable. So we need to make this right storage. And we're going to need to change confused here to mut confused. Right? So confuse.insert. I'm just going down here now. The mob, which is the mob. Right? And we're going to create a new confusion struct turns of confusion turns, right? Otherwise, unable to insert status, right? And then if entity equals player entity mob name, let mob name, we will names get mob unwrap, let item name, names get use item item unwrap, game log entries push format, you use something on something else confusing them. And we're going to say item name, name, and mob name, name. Close that out, and then close out that. And then we don't have to do this, right? I think this is all we need to do. And then we can add confused status to anything. We should update the monster AI system to use it, replace the loop with this. The whole loop. I don't think we have an extensive monster AI system yet. But let's replace the loop with this. All right, what have we got? Entity viewshed monster position. Entity viewshed monster position. That's still there. But now distance is down here under can act. Oh, can act, right. So if the monster is confused, then we reduce the monster's confusion turns by 1 and say the monster cannot act. All right. Otherwise, we do all the stuff we did before, right? So this is all the same, right? So let's move this over by a level and just say if can act that. And this closes nothing out yet, right? Because I have to, oh, this goes here, right? That's onto the 4. This is the run, and this is the impulse. Okay. So up here, we'll do this. Let mute can act equals true. Let is confused get mut entity. Oh, okay. So we need to add confused to this, right? And are we modifying it? Yes, we're modifying it, so it has to be right. And it has to be mutable, right? And then if let sum I am confused is, we don't need to do this. We can just do that. If let sum I am confused, right? Then I am confused for 1 turn less. And if I am confused on turns less than 1, confused remove entity, and but can act is false. Like that. Right? So if there's confusion left, then we cannot act. If we hit our last turn of confusion, we remove it, but we still don't act because we still had 1 turn of confusion left. All right, so there should be 4 turns of confusion per confusion scroll. Okay. Does this build? Does not. What did I leave out? Oh, I left confusion out of monster AI system, out of spawner, and out of inventory system. Okay. Monster AI system, spawner, and inventory. You just got to add it to the confusion. Confusion. Oops. Extra comma there. And confusion. Did I do that to monster AI system? Nope. Okay, so I was just looking to see if I had done a double. Didn't I add this? Oh, it's not confused, it's confusion. Okay. Wait. Now I'm doubting myself. No, it's confusion. Okay. So confused changes to confusion. And this, oh, this should be turns, right? Like that. Nope. Still not there. Oh, okay. So we need to do, we have to separate it out. According to this, it needs to be separate in order to make the borrow checker happy. Right? Because this is immutably borrowing to get the confusion, and then we're modifying it here. So that's probably why that needed to happen separately. In order to insert it, we have to loop over it first. That's too bad because it follows the same pattern, right? We have if suffer damage, then inflict damage. But we're inserting the new damage into is not the inflict damage thing, right? Whereas here what we're inserting into is the confused thing, right? And for healing, right, we're modifying the player, not the healing item. So that's why we need to have it separate. But we can do it almost this way. Right? We can do this. Let mute add confusion. Vec new. And then we can say add confusion push. And we're going to push this tuple. Right? Like that. And then once we're done, we'll still report it to the player. And then once we're done, we'll say for mob in add confusion dot iter. We'll say confused insert mob 0, mob 1, expect that. Right? All I did was move this code up to the add confusion thing. And hopefully that'll work. Huh. Oh, did I? Which does not implement the copy tree. Okay. This I need to, line 142. What did I do there? Oh, was I looking at a previous, oh yeah, I was, okay, so it's just this now that has the copy trait. So we don't have copy trait. We can either create a copy trait or not copy it and just put the turns in here. And just do it this way, right? And then create the confusion here. If I haven't created enough confusion already. Confusion turns mob 1. Like that. Right? That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like. Okay. Does this build? It does. Okay, I'm just going to take a look at it one more time here. So we build up the vector of add confusions so that we're not, so we're done barring this immutably. Now we're barring it mutably here. So that's safe. It should be safe here, but I guess Rust isn't clever enough yet to be able to see that, you know, we're not, we've grabbed the data out of it and we're not accessing it anymore to grab more data, but it is what it is. So let's see if we can confuse some monsters now. Ah, there's a pink one right there. I pick up the confusion scroll. Let's go find a monster to confuse. No, the monster's there. Come on, monster. Oh, there's one. Okay, so can we target that monster with confusion? And now I should be able to walk for 4 turns, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, on the 4th turn. Okay, so I guess we said 4 turns, but that first turn counts for, right? Where did we put the 4? Here. The first turn must be the turn that I cast it in, and it subtracts 1 there. That must be from our run systems. No, I would have thought that. So here's the item use system. So we use the item use system to hit the monster with the confusion. So now it should have a value of 4 on it, right? We go down to maintain, and then we're done with run systems. After run systems is over, we go to awaiting input, and then we sit there waiting for the player input. So the monster should have a 4 on it, right? When the monster gets down to 1, because the monster turn doesn't happen until after the player's turn, right? We run the systems and the monster turn happens. And after the monster turn, then we run the systems again. So the player does some input, right? So I've cast a spell. You know what? There's probably an off by 1 thing here, or my brain has an off by 1 thing. I don't have the mental capacity to figure it out. Let's see if Clippy is happy. Clippy is happy. Let's see what we got. So we added the confusion component. And we have the code here, which will add the confusion component to any entity that was targeted by confusion. We modify the monster AI system so that before it does any actions, it first checks to see if it can act. Right? And if it cannot act, then we skip the whole make a move thing. And then we change the spawner code so that we can generate confusion scrolls. All right, that's pretty straightforward. Git add source, git commit-m, added confusion scrolls. All right, and I think that's the end of the chapter, right? Yep. So what's our next chapter on? It is on loading and saving the game. Oh, that's going to be fun. I don't have time to do that, start that now, because this looks like a pretty involved system. So either Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, I should be able to start working on that. But we got pretty good, pretty far, right? Adding fireball and confusion. So let me push this up to GitHub. Take a quick peek over here. There they are. And then I'll wrap things up. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care.